Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samadhanam, one more qualification, usually listed as the last one, but I am saving the Shraddha for last to discuss. Samadhanam means single-minded focus for the study. What else? Otherwise, the mind goes in so many different directions. Wherever the desire goes, there goes the mind. And then as far as Vedanta goes, it's never mind. This is, Samadhanam is overcoming distractions and a kind of a perseverance, the ability to stick with it until it does its job. All this comes under Samadhanam. And finally we have Shraddha. Shraddha is trust. Trust pending understanding. Because this is not a belief-based system. You are the whole, if I say. You can't say, I believe you, because it is something to see. It's not based on belief. It's something to recognize as the truth of yourself. So there is nothing to believe. But until one sees, one can have a trust pending this understanding. This is what is Shraddha. Shraddha is trust. Shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avadharana sa shraddha kathitha sadbhihi yaya aksharam adhigamyate. And where is this trust placed? Where is this trust directed? If we ask, the answer is towards the Shastra, towards the Guru who brings the Shastra to you. So that is where the trust is placed. Guru Vakya, the words of the Guru, and to the Shastra, from where the words of the Guru come. Satya Buddhi Avadharana. Dharana, Avadharana means holding. Satya Buddhi, it must be true, giving it the benefit of doubt, because you have no means of knowledge to refute it. All the means of knowledge that one has is good to cognize objects, not the subject. So you cannot, because every means of knowledge works as a king in its own realm. What the eyes see cannot be refuted by the ears. So if I say, the sky is blue, the ears cannot come and say, no, it is not. It won't make any sense. So similarly, if Vedanta is a pramana in its own right, then the ability to see that it cannot be argued with through any other means of knowledge. Not inference, not pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means direct perception. Not anything. How can you argue with that? Because it is its own, just like you say, just like the eyes cannot argue with the ears about the nature of a raga, similarly, all the other pramanas that you have cannot argue with Shastra pramana, belittle it, dismiss it, etc. This is Shraddha. Cultivating this kind of a buddhi is Shraddha, trust. And this trust is very subtle on many levels. First, I am going to gain this knowledge, and this is the way, that is also Shraddha. And not to be discouraged by any kind of perceived setbacks, because there are no setbacks. It's just the cultivation of this trust. But why is it so difficult to cultivate? Because everyone has had a history of distrust. That's why. The human being is born in a situation of complete helplessness. In fact, the young ones of animals are much better. Within a few minutes of taking birth, they are able to stand. They are able to follow the herd to safety. But the human baby needs so much attention, totally helpless. Cannot turn, much less stand up, cannot even flip over, and cries all the time. Same cry. Same cry for food, same cry for stomachache, same cry for nappy change. The parents have to do some guesswork. Nobody knows what is it that the child is crying about. And this total helplessness has to be compensated by complete trust, total trust. And therefore, whoever picks it up, the child goes to, a small child, small infant. It does not protest because it cannot afford to, because its very survival depends on people taking care of it. It's unable to defend itself. It just has total trust. Even as it grows, it looks at the primary caregivers with a lot of awe, because they can walk, they can talk, and it cannot do either. It's fascinating. Then what happens? Then after a while, as it grows up, it starts to see discrepancies, various discrepancies. The parents are not what they said they are. They are different. Mother drops the baby down the stairs and says, "Oh, I didn't mean it." Father, present but unavailable mentally, absent in some ways. And mother should not be called mother. In this case, the name should be changed to smother. This kind of, so many things are there which cause this distrust. There is an erosion of trust that starts to happen as the child grows up. And that continues well into childhood. Disappointed by the primary caregivers, disillusioned, the child grows up. And of course, in the course of its life journey to adulthood, it will endure many such disenchantments, many such betrayals, many such distrusts, just out of the exigencies of living. One encounters so much distrust, so much disappointment. And the journey of the study of Vedanta is to regain this trust. The trust that was lost, the trust that was centered on the mother and the father, that trust which was lost is again rediscovered in the mother and the father of the universe, thanks to Vedanta study. One is directed towards Bhagavan. But in order for this journey to complete properly, one must help oneself to put the trust in the words of the Shastra. That's a very, very tall order. And the reason why it is difficult to trust the Shastra is because you are not operating the pramana. All the other pramanas you operate. You look at things, you hear the sounds, you touch, you feel, you taste. But here, something else comes and tells you who you are, and you're supposed to take it on face value. And that's where the mind and the ahankara get into trouble. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. The mind and vak. Vak means speech. The speech and the mind, the story in the Taittiriya Upanishad says, decided to catch hold of this knowledge, to catch hold of Brahman and showcase it to the universe. The mind and speech are the greatest of friends. One conceptualizes, the other expresses. How nice, how wonderful. It's like two people. One of them can walk and the other one can see. So the one that can see climbs on the back of the one that can walk, and together in tandem somehow they go from place to place. So here too the mind and speech are similarly friends. They help one another and they decide to go catch hold of Brahman. They receive a big send-off. Oh yes, please, garland, arati. They receive a big send-off. May you be successful in your endeavor. Then what happens? They come back, unfulfilled, unable to objectify Brahman. Yataha, yasmat, brahmanaha, from which Brahman they return. Nivartante. The mind and the speech come back, sad. They slink back at night because they don't dare to show their face to other people. Aprapya. The vak comes back along with the mind, hanging its head in shame, not having gained Brahman as an object. And then what? So, the mind here is not an agent of this knowledge. This is a very important component of developing, cultivating Shraddha. If the mind were an agent of this knowledge, then you don't require Shraddha at all. Why would you need Shraddha? You can yourself conceptualize Brahman and the mind would have a big, lot to say about it. But that's not the case. So, the mind is not an agent of Brahma Vidya. It is not Brahma Vidya Karta. It is not the doer. It is not the agent of Brahma Vidya. So then off with the mind. No. The mind comes back. It is back through the back door. The service entrance. Not the main entrance. You ask it to come. You know how in these big hotels and everything, they don't want the delivery people and the delivery trucks to come through the front entrance. It looks bad. That's for the guests. So for the delivery trucks and other such things, they have a service entrance on the side or in the back. And so the mind is brought as a servant of this knowledge, not as an agent. It learns to sit and listen. This is what Shraddha accomplishes. Shraddha, the cultivation of Shraddha, is able to see that the mind is central to this knowledge, but not in the way that it thought. It is not the agent of this knowledge. It is a receptacle, a place where the knowledge shines and is cognized, understood. So that's why we need the mind. But it is not where the knowledge is produced, it is where the knowledge appears and is enjoyed. Therefore, the mind comes in as a helper rather than the mover and the shaker and the CEO of everything. This is Shraddha. This is what the cultivation of Shraddha accomplishes. I am able to give the benefit of doubt. I am able to allow this knowledge to speak to me. And that is what Shravanam is. Listening without preconceptions, listening without judgment, listening without the rushing to phalavyapti, trying to come to a conclusion about something, trying to objectify something. Listening while suspending one's own notions and daring to let go of those notions. First, it's very difficult to let go of them. So first one gets the idea of suspending the notions. The notions are there. Oh, Tattvamasi cannot be true. Okay, keep it for the time being. But right now, let it not operate in the classroom when you are doing Shravanam. Let the doubts be there. Let this be there. But it's not operating when you do Shravanam. I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to just listen with an open mind, Shraddha. In the beginning, Shraddha is an open mind. As we progress in cultivating Shraddha, Shraddha is a trusting mind. Further down the road, as the Shraddha becomes more paripakva, ripened Shraddha, then Shraddha is translated as reverential, devotional listening. Listening with an attitude of reverence and devotion. Then you wonder, how are you going to go from open mind, engaged mind, trusting mind, reverential heart? How is this going to be accomplished? What to do to cultivate Shraddha? The answer given in the Veda is very interesting. It says, there is a Rathantara Samagana. In the Samaveda, there is a very nice passage. It says, cross the bridge that is difficult to cross. And then it says, cross Ashraddha by building a bridge of Shraddha. Setum stara, setum stara, dustaran, danena danam, danena danam, hau, hau, hau. This is how it goes. Very beautiful. Setum stara. Please cross this bridge. What kind of a bridge is it? It's a bridge that is difficult to cross. Dustaran setum stara. And then it gives all the difficult scenarios and how to overcome them. Adanam, non-giving. Person has difficulty giving. How do you cross non-giving? For the Veda, things are so simple. Of course, by giving. By giving, one crosses non-giving. Danena, by giving, cross the disease of non-giving. Akrodhena krodham. Cross anger by cultivating non-anger. Shraddhaya Shraddham. Cross not having Shraddha by cultivating Shraddha. But how? First you act as though you have Shraddha. Then it will come, because Shraddha, the ability to trust, is your natural state. Without this trust, without this reverential, devotional way of listening, then the teaching will not bless. Yesterday I told you Atma Kripa, how one blesses oneself to receive this teaching. Shraddha, cultivating Shraddha is Atma Kripa, is giving yourself the blessing, the ability to learn. Self-blessing. DIY blessing. That is Shraddha. And the Shravanam that is done with the attitude of Shraddha is what is called Vedanta Shravanam, and that is why it is completely different from listening to music or any other thing in the world. This is the attitude that one must have. And then, because Vedanta is a means of knowledge, and the Shraddha, when greeted with Shraddha, the openness, knowledge takes place. Because when the Pramana is in front of you, and when the Prameya, that which is to be seen, is right there, then the knowledge will take place. If the eyes are open, whatever there is to see will be seen. This is Shravanam. This is enough for knowledge, Atmajnanam. This is enough to enlighten. This is enough to make one a wise person. Mukhya sadhanam. This is the primary sadhana for Vedanta, for moksha. Primary sadhana. In fact, we can even go so far as to say the only sadhana. All that one needs is Shravanam. It is the necessary and the sufficient condition for self-knowledge, Atmajnanam. Nothing else can give this knowledge, nothing else can dismiss wrong notions like Shravanam. A very important and a crucial sadhana. Then, if, this is a big if one finds that one has gained the knowledge, but it is riddled with doubts, errors, or vagueness, then Mananam is prescribed. Mananam does not produce the knowledge, it clarifies the knowledge of all the doubts that the knowledge may entertain. A doubt-riddled knowledge, a vagueness-ridden knowledge, and an error-filled knowledge is corrected by what is called Mananam. Shravanam is enough if one is an adhikari like Nachiketa or anybody in the Upanishad. Nachiketa gained this knowledge without any mananam, nididhyasanam. We don't find Nachiketa sitting and saying Aham Brahmasmi. And even in the Chandogya Upanishad, Shvetaketu had 9 sittings with the father, turned teacher, and he understood. Why? Because adhikari bheda. Bheda means there is a difference in the in the level of qualification, in the level of Shraddha, Titiksha, Viveka, Vairagya, all the things that we have been talking about, there is a difference. So the people with highly developed Shraddha and all the other prerequisites are called Uttama Adhikaris, Uttama Adhikarina, exalted people of qualifications, people with exalted qualifications for Vedanta. Where are they? In the Upanishad books. They are an ideal type. This is on one end of the continuum. On the other end of the continuum, we have Manda Adhikaris. They are also an ideal type. Nobody really is that Manda. Most of the people come under the third variety, Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama means some qualifications are there, some are yet to come. The desire for Vedanta is there, and then even though the qualifications are not fully there, the person is still listening, still trying to cultivate the qualifications, and still trying to understand Vedanta. Most people come under this category. So if one is a Uttama Adhikari, what happens? You don't need Mananam or Nididhyasanam. Only Shravanam is essential, and it does its job. It removes self-ignorance. One understands who one is, finished. And if one is a Manda Adhikari, on the other side, a dull Adhikari, no matter how much Shravanam, Mananan, Nididhyasanam one does, one still struggles to understand. If one is a Madhyama Adhikari, the middle kind, which most people fall under, then the Shravanam does its job, still there are some doubts, errors, etc. And therefore Mananam, Nididhyasanam are advised. What is Mananam? Mananam means reflection. You think about what one has studied, one thinks about it, and when one thinks about it, one finds, oh, this doesn't make sense. What is this? I think I need, that's why we have satsang at night. What we do in satsang is mananam. There are questions. Why is it so? Why can't it be like this? What is the shortcut to this knowledge? All these questions. When can I become a jnani? All these questions. These are all doubts. And the dissipation of the doubts, the dissipation takes place in three ways. One, you ask the teacher. And one, you ask other students. You discuss the things with other students over meal times, and somebody else has taken notes when you were not able to, or you missed something and somebody else has. So you talk to them, compare notes, and you gain something. Second type of mananam. Third type of mananam is this: you reflect on it yourself and suddenly the answer comes. Standing under the shower. Why shower? The hot water stimulates the brain cells. And suddenly the answer comes. Oh, I can't believe I got this. I can't even believe I had missed this. How wonderful, how interesting. You discover the knowledge in a new way. Some part, some aspect of the knowledge you discover in a new way. These are the three ways of mananam. And why mananam? Because there are two kinds of doubts requiring mananam. So what kinds of doubts does mananam address? First type of doubt is called pramana-gata shanka. Shanka, doubt. Shanka centered on pramana. Pramana-gata shanka. Like, for instance, what's a good example? Why only through study I should get Vedanta? Why can't I get it through pranayama? Why can't I intuit it out? Why can't I just be born with this knowledge? Why only Vedanta? Why not so many other paths? This is pramana gata shanka. How can Vedanta be a pramana? Any such questions connected to the pramana is called pramana gata shanka, and this calls for mananam. And then the second kind of doubt is called prameya gata shanka. Prameya means the subject matter of this knowledge. That which is to be known is called prameya. Now what is the prameya? Bhagavan. Ishvara as oneself is the prameya. And so doubts centered on this is called, comes for examples of doubts centered on this kind of a, this prameya gata shanka category of doubt will express like this. How can I be Brahman? How can Jiva and Ishvara be one and the same? Why is everything mithya and only Brahman is Satyam? How can't we say, why can't we say Brahman is also mithya? These are the doubts that come under prameya gata samshaya or shanka. Both these categories of doubt are to be addressed seriously and warded off with the help of mananam. Shravanam, check, complete. Mananam, check. But still, what? Why are you grumbling now? You've done Shravanam. You have done Mananam. What's the problem? You have any doubts? No. I have no doubt that I am Brahman. Then what's the problem? I'm just not behaving like Brahman. I still continue to behave like a jiva. I complain. And then the worst of me comes out, especially in dysfunctionally familiar situations. Surrounded by people, especially surrounded by people who I knew before Atmajnanam took place. Like one's family, friends from a different century, friends from past life, these kinds of people. Because people, see, one is still, the knowledge is still new, and one is still influenced by what is called viparita bhavana, habitual orientations. And then if you're in a new place, they will still attack these habitual orientations, but they will attack a little less. When you are in the place, when you're in dysfunctionally familiar places, like with family members, or people who saw you in a certain way at a certain time, for them you are frozen in time. For them, you only perform a role. And they look at you through the eyes only of the role. You are either daughter or son, or you are spouse or friend. You are either brother or sister. Like this. And in such situations, the viparita bhavanitis, has a flare-up. Viparita bhavana, acting in contradistinction to what you know. You know you are whole, you know you are free, but then, you are able to you're not able to hold this understanding all the time because it does not translate into the behavior. There is a schism between the knowledge of Brahman as yourself and the behavior in the everyday, habitual orientations. This is what is corrected with the help of nididhyasanam. From the root verb dhyai, to meditate. So, what does it look like? Just like the cow grazing in the pasture, eating hurriedly all the grasses, and then finding that it has a lot of time. The farmer is not taken it inside yet, it is still out in the pasture. What does it do? Comes, sits under a tree, regurgitates everything, and then chews the cud, ruminates, makes wheat grass juice. This is what one has to do. Like the cow, the new brahmachari grazes in the grasses of the Upanishads very quickly, hurriedly, because there is so much jignasa, desire to study, desire to learn, and there is no time. Yes, yes, yes. Kena Upanishad, one retreat, yes, next retreat, I am there. Third retreat, yes, me. And then after that, what? Oh, I still have to live my life. I have a little bit of time. Let's see what to do. And then this is what nididhyasanam looks like, where the words of the Shastra, things that you have been taught, which you already know, are recalled repeatedly. Especially at a time of agitation. When viparita bhavanitis strikes, then you help yourself by saying things like asangoham, 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 punah punah. I keep repeating, this is the translation, I keep repeating, I am uninvolved. I am uninvolved. This has nothing to do with the I that I have studied in the Upanishad. I am free, I am protected from this pain, I am protected from this. This is whatever it's feeling, whatever the feeling is, that feeling shall pass. It is not me. It is not me. This is nididhyasana. So for a person who is involved too much, picks up everybody's stuff and cries for the whole universe, this is a very good type of nididhyasana. Asangoham. I am indeed uninvolved. Then some other people have the opposite problem. They feel like they are all disconnected, very difficult to get connected. They don't know that they are connected. They dissociate frequently, they are in pain, and so for them, I am one with everything. That's a very good mantra for nididhyasana. I am the whole, I am one with everything. I am connected to the land, the earth, the trees, the fire, the water, the air, the space. This is nididhyasana. So like this, there are so many phrases in the Shastra that one has studied. It doesn't work if you haven't studied it. And then, when that one has studied, then you keep recalling it, you keep reveling in it, you keep seeing the meaning of it, and the habitual orientation reduces and is completely eliminated. Even when surrounded by familiar people, one is not provoked into behaving in a manner that no longer is functional for oneself. So these three together were advised by sage Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Maitreyi Brahmana. That portion is called Maitreyi Brahmana because he is teaching Maitreyi. He says, Atma va are drashtavyaha. The Atma must be quote unquote seen. Of course, it cannot be seen. Seen means understood. Darshanartham kim kartavyam. What to do to understand it? That is given very, very nicely. Atma va are shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha. This tavya has the force of the suffix tavya has the force of an injunction. Must be done. The Atma must be listened to with this Shraddha, and with Shravanam must be done with this kind of Shraddha in mind. And then, if the Shravanam still has not produced the knowledge free of doubt, the doubts must be freed with Mananam, and habitual orientations, if any, must be released through Nididhyasanam. Because this is Kali Yuga, all three are needed. All three are needed. And then the Nididhyasanam helps one to mature into this knowledge, to own it up fully. And that is how one becomes a Vividisha sannyasi. There is a lot that goes on in this thing called self-mastery. And the Vividisha sannyasi will not be reactive, will not be always getting into this victim mode. Why me? And this is how to become the kind of a sannyasi here. And it's very nice because this shows that following all these three things alone, these sannyasis became Vidvat sannyasis. Just like tam tam cha Yajnavalkyaha sampadayamasa. This is how Yajnavalkya also got this. Then further, let us see. And then the next section just talks about how Yajnavalkya went to gain sannyasa. And we've already seen that, because what did he do? He said, he said very clearly, he said something. What did he say? He said, I'm going to Are Aham Asmat Sthanad. I'm going from this place. I wanted to let you know. I wanted to get your permission. Why? Because etavat are khalu amritatvam iti. Because I'm interested in amritatvam. And then what happened? She has stopped him. She says, wait a minute, you can't go like that. You can't just tell me that, you are going for amritatvam and put all this money and everything, leave it to me and then go. How do you know that I'm not interested in this knowledge? You have to teach me. And he gives the teaching. The main thing in the teaching is this: Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. In one sentence that teaching can be understood. He says a lot of things, but the main thing is this: Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Nava are patyuh kamaya patih priyo bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya patih priyo bhavati. Nava are jayayai kamaya jaya priya bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya jaya priya bhavati. Nava are putrasya kamaya putrah priyo bhavati. Atmanastu kamaya putrah priyo bhavati. Like this he goes on and on. And this is a very important lesson for any kind of understanding. For deepening the understanding of this wholeness is, what is this I? This I is that which can be called the self that is already happy. The happy self, the pleased self. This is what Yajnavalkya says. The I doesn't have to become happy. The I is already the pleased self. And so all activities, all pleasures that one seeks is for the sake of the already pleased I alone. And he gives certain examples. This is what it means. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. He gives one example, many examples. The first one is, Nava are, not indeed, my dear, patyuhu kamaya, for the sake of the desiring the husband. No wife loves the husband for the sake of the husband. Then what? Why does she love him then? She loves him for her own sake, for the sake of her own security, whatever it is. This is also clearly talked about in the Bhajagovindam. So she is very, very fond of the husband and cries loudly because he is sick. Then he dies. As soon as he is dead, she says, "Get this thing out of here," meaning the dead body. And the Bhajagovindam says, the same body which was an object of love just a few minutes back, after death has visited, it has become an object of revulsion. Take this to the funeral ground, take it away, take it away, she says loudly. So, it's clear that the love is not for the sake of the husband, but for her own sake, meaning her own happiness, her own well-being, her own sense of self, etc., is very much dependent upon the husband, and therefore she loves the husband. Then what? Oh, the husband must be very altruistic. No, the same thing is talked about in a flipped way. Neither does the husband. The husband also does not love the wife for her own sake. He loves the wife for his own sake. So, whatever the wife represents, that's what the husband loves for himself. She makes me feel secure. She makes me feel wanted. She makes me feel loved. She makes me feel good. Therefore, I love her. So everything, every object of love, and then of course the children also. The children love their parents not for the sake of the parents, but for their own sake. The parents love the children not for the sake of the children, but for their own sake. Very important teaching for Vidvat Sannyasa. This has to be understood. Nobody is doing anything for anybody's sake. It's all for the sake of the I, which happens to be already happy, already contented, already pleased. But yet, without knowing this, one gets into a situation, repeatedly into a situation of wanting there to be subject-object fusion in order to produce happiness. One thinks that happiness is a product of subject-object fusion. So one engineers these kinds of situations where there is subject-object fusion so that one can be happy. But this is totally redundant because one is already happy, and what the subject-object fusion attempt shows, what it does is that it merely brings out that happiness centered on the I. It just brings it out. It was already there, it just brings it out, that's all. And this is something to be understood, Yajnavalkya says. And saying this, he gives her Vividisha sannyasa, he is into Vidvat sannyasa. That is what this particular section accomplishes. Then there is a conversation, there is a, what's its name? There is an objection that is raised, and that comes later, yeah, okay. Then there is a section from this Brihadaranyaka portion called Kahola Brahmana. Kahola Brahmana, Kahola was a person, a sage, and where his teachings are given, that is called Kahola Brahmana. So, Kahola Brahmane api Vidvat Sannyasah Amnayate. This Vidvat Sannyasa is taken up even in this portion of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 351, where this Kahola called the Kahola Brahmana. Etam vai tam atmanam viditva brahmanah putraishanayascha vittaishanayascha lokaishanayascha vyutthaya atha bhikshacharyam charanti iti. So what does Kahola Brahmana say? Etam vai. Etam means this self alone. Indeed, vai. This alone, this, what is this etam? Atmanam. So gaining this self, having known of this self, that this self alone is to be gained, this much they know. And what do? For attaining this knowledge, they do three things. They give up three kinds of desires. One is called Putraishana. Aishana means desire. One is called Putraishana, the desire for progeny. And this one is tricky, because if you say, oh, I never like children, I don't care about children. Progeny here doesn't just mean children. It means any kind of a sphere of influence, some kind of an overlordship. You tell something, sit, and it sits. And they even includes pets, everything. Pets and other spheres of influence. Some kind of a say in the world that you have with people. All that is included in this Putraishana. Wanting progeny, wanting to have an arena to control. And then if one is a quote-unquote self-made guru, God man, God woman, etc., wanting a following, that is also Putraishana. And it's very sad, I find, in certain religious or whatever circles, they say, oh, there will be one religious leader, whosoever it is, some Mataji or Babaji or something, and then he or she will say, all of you are my children. All are children. They are addressed as children. It's a kind of an infantilization. And that infantilization is done purely for the ahankara of this kind of a spiritual leader, no other reason. And this is a secret, hidden Putraishana. This is a secret Putraishana. Because they may not, want children per se, but they want to treat everybody who comes to them as children. What kind of a karma is this? So children. So this is Putraishana. Then another Aishana, another kind of a desire is Vittam, money, facilities, land, property, houses. People got very excited when there was this €1 homes being sold in Italy. Yeah. And then to renovate them would require 6 zeros after that one. So, because of the condition they would have been in, who knows? And so some people may have got lucky, but that's not, that's not everybody. So, but why, are you going to go live in Italy? No. But the fact that there is €1 homes being sold somewhere else, 5,000 miles away from where my house is, why should that excite? But it does. Oh, it's a throwaway price. Maybe it's an investment. Airbnb. Sitting here, I can make money. Every closet in the house is now Airbnb. Yeah, it's got a potential. I can make a drop-down bed so that it doesn't take up space. This is what. This is a very big Eshana. This vitta doesn't just mean wealth. It means any kind of a property, investment. Want this, want to build this, want to have that, want to buy this. But why? Why Italy? Had you ever thought of going there before? Not really. But now it is looking nice because €1 home. So this is all comes under Vitta Eshana, Vittaishana. So Putraishana, Vittaishana, and then Loka Eshana, Lokaishana, going to lokas. Loka means literally lokas, Brahma Loka, this Loka, that Loka, how do I go, what kind of rituals should I do to go there? But then Loka subtly means also various experiences you want to have here. I want to try these kinds of sports. I want to go to that particular island. Why? Because it's going to be swallowed up by the sea. Let it be swallowed up by the sea. No, before it is swallowed up. I want to go see it. And then, and like this. So many things. Oh, there's only... And these advertisers also make use of this Eshana. They respond to this. And then they say, oh, last chance before it closes. Last chance before it dies. Last chance. Take it, take it, take it. Lokaishana. Go here, go there. Fields of experiences. One is basically an experience hunter. And one keeps on hunting and craving for experiences. And this craving here is called Lokaishana. And even coming into this ashram, one wants spiritual experiences. How to have spiritual experiences? Have some spirits, that's all. It's the only spiritual. That's all it is. That's the only way to get spiritual quickly. So, this is all nonsense. This is all what, that means one has not stopped hunting for experiences. The experience hunter is also called the one who has Lokaishana. More we'll see later. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaga Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.